Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music. And you're listening to our friends, Braggy and Curly.
My favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly.
On the
Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast.
Hey there everyone and welcome. It's episode 78 of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. As always, I've got my good friend down there in Adelaide as my co-host. Please welcome Dave Bragg. And Braggy, you're going to introduce our special guest for the evening.
Okay, no worries. Well, who I'm going to introduce, it's a special treat tonight, Curly, because I reckon it's probably Sydney's best kept live music secret. There's the band's called Grand Union, and we got there in the Emerald City, we got Marcus Bragg and Stewie Greenwood. How's it going, boys?
Going good?
Very well, thanks. Very well.
Now, the first question I'm gonna ask is, how long? Because I remember seeing you guys a fair while ago. It seems like a long time ago. So, where does it all start? And I think, am I correct in saying that you two are the only original members of the Grand Union?
Very correct. Yep.
Okay.
Pretty close to it. I think when I first moved to Sydney is when I first joined and met up with Stu, the old-fashioned way, which was the drum media. So we
in the paper.
Went to the drum media, had a look around, what's doing, searching for drummer. Must like AC/DC, must like Jimi Hendrix. I'm like, okay, that's the same thing. And this is about 2003, Stu.
Yeah.
But I think
So
you probably
19
came up with the band name before that, slightly before that.
Yeah. I first got the idea for it when I was still in the UK about 6 months prior to that. So it's getting close to 20 years. We had this idea of, I don't know, a multinational band of travellers. And I started writing songs with a singer there, and then I came back home because it was just too bloody cold, as everyone knows.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to continue that, and then I put the ads in the paper, and Mark here answered the ad, and off we went.
And yeah, so there's definitely a jolt in that first sort of rehearsal, like, you know, when you really sort of get a good vibe with people you're playing with. And there also was another addition to the band about the same time, probably just before I joined, which was Adam. On bass.
Yeah.
It was probably the same ad or similar ad.
There was a series of them.
Drummer for bass player, which he
Yeah, that is an old school way. I remember you used to go into the music shops, and there'd be a list on the back somewhere behind the counter of the music shop, you know. Not anymore. So when you came back, Stewie, from England, you just came back. You just said, "I'm going to put a band together like I was doing there in England, just with a bunch of
pretty
guys."
much, yeah, yeah.
And I just want to clear one thing up. I remember a band called the Vaults. So is that at the same time, or is that just a different project?
Yeah,
the Vaults.
It's a different project. It was
okay.
A bit more meat and potatoes rock. This was a little more funkier, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to pigeonhole you guys. I've been thinking about that all day.
We've changed radically.
I've got to agree. Yeah, I've got to agree.
Yeah, even from back then, the music's vastly different now. So
yeah,
I think I had short hair and was clean shaven at the time. Looking back at the old photos, and we were definitely a bit more punk influenced, I guess, sort of like Dead Kennedys kind of
punk,
vibes.
definitely. Yeah, totally.
And so how do you describe your band, the band, Stewie? I mean, what sort of genre? Is it rock? Is it Aussie rock? Is it progressive rock? Is it how would you describe it?
Right now, I'd probably describe it as it's very much rock and roll, but it's got a lot of sort of blues influences and soul influences in it as well. It deals with a lot of modern subject matter, so you might hear older sounds in it, but it's kind of like a juxtaposition of old and new at the same time.
Yeah,
I
can hear Stewie rock.
Roll and rock instead of rock and roll.
Well, I guess you got guys from Australia. You've got your singer's from the UK, yeah, or Ireland, is he? No.
The singer's from Liverpool. The bassist from Manchester, so they fight an awful lot.
So, oh yeah.
And the guitar players from across the Dutch.
So you two guys fight a lot when it comes to the rugby. I guess because you got so many guys from from three different places, 3 different countries. I guess we're kind of all listening to the same stuff, but it's across decades too. I guess your influences. So that's probably why the music's so hard to put in a pigeonhole, because it's got little bits of everything today. I think I came up with a whole bunch of different bands when I was thinking about it today.
Yeah. We were talking about that, Tage, as well. You know how some things change, but a lot of the times they stay the same. You know.
There's a duality there, yeah.
You know, as well. We played. Our last gig was at the Duke on Saturday night, and you saw us play there, Tage.
I saw you play at the Duke. Man, that is a fucking loud venue, man.
It was
totally.
Yeah, no, I don't think any louder than it was back in when you guys were doing it, the Sun of the '80s or those times.
Maybe it's just relative. Maybe it is age, but I don't know. Yeah, you're probably right.
Good fun.
And the PA systems back then, them days, would just freaking cut your head off as well. So it's a little bit more refined now. Refined now. Well, let's play. I think, Stewie, you wanted to play a song from those early days.
Yeah,
which is the first one.
I'll see if I can grab it. It was called The Patsy.
Okay.
Let me see.
Here
if
we
I
go.
can pull it up. Here we go.
So what?
Is that too loud?
No, that's good.
All good. That can hear that all right?
I carry school books around all day. It's an always communist cause the CIA. I'm a film before without no pay. Was I on the 6th floor? I don't know what to say. Cause I'm a patsy. Cause I'm a patsy. Cause I'm a patsy. Ooh, come and shoot me. Can I please have a lawyer, please? I'm in charge of assassination, can't you see? Well, I'm a mob and I'm an ex-Marine. Can I please have a lawyer, please? Cause I'm a patsy. Cause I'm a patsy. Cause I'm a patsy. Ooh. I've got a wife and a child. I've got a wife and a child. Oh yeah. I've been shot by a man named Ruby. Well, I'm a record, I'm a magic bullet theory. My head's been patched, photo trickery. I've been shot by a man named Ruby. 'Cause I'm a patsy. 'Cause I'm a patsy. 'Cause I'm a patsy. Yeah, come and shoot me. Oh, yeah.
So,
There you go.
so Stewie, how old are you when you're writing about Lee Harvey Oswald?
Oh, gee, I was probably about 26
26. Okay.
at the time.
So that's
27.
That's not too young.
So what year was that song from, Stuart?
That is 2003. That was probably the
2003.
first song that I wrote for the band, now that I think about it.
Okay.
Specifically for this, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And
And
did
that's
you guys?
is that still on the set list today, or is that something you pull out every now and again, or?
Very rarely. We played it just after lockdown finished in 2020 when we got a gig and Adam came back for a guest gig, so we pulled out a bunch of these old things. But other than that, no, it doesn't get the light of day anymore.
There's a first time I've heard that song, and there's a sense of anger in that song.
Definitely, yeah. It was meant to be a bit punk influenced, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I suppose I was interested in history and this guy. You see the footage of the guy when he's being accosted by the police, and he looks like he's really harassed, but you never really know with that.
He doesn't
Don't
look
know
like
who's
a
telling the
guy.
truth.
He doesn't. You're right. He doesn't look like a guy that would assassinate a president, does he? He looks like a. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I swing both ways on it, and I've actually been to the place in Dallas where all this happened when I was there a couple of years back.
Yeah.
And you sort of get a sense that it's a bit different from all the television shows. But the other thing is, you sort of thinking this guy that was there working during lunchtime when all this happened, and then he yanks off from work. Who leaves work in the middle of a shift?
Yeah.
So
and it goes to the
something
book depository.
funny happened. Yeah. Like
That's
you
really
go
cool.
and rack off and go to the cinema in the middle of a work shift. I don't know who you'd probably do it today, but I don't know about then.
Yeah. Interesting. And that's a kind of a theme with your writing, Stewie, isn't it? I mean, I really want to ask about some of these later songs if we get a chance to. That are up on Spotify at the moment, too. Okay, so how many was in the band then? Still five?
Us,
or?
4 of us.
Only 4.
Yeah, we were a slimmer unit then.
2 guitars, bass and drums.
Yeah, it depended. Sometimes I just put the guitar down and sing
sang.
at some gigs.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
we rotated instruments as well. At a few points there, we had 3 players, and I think I was on bass at one point. I
Yeah,
even remember a gig I played on guitar, I think, up in the
You
Northern
did.
Beaches there in a pool room.
yeah.
So whoever
Done
what
was
some
sort of-
Jake and Elwood gigs for sure.
What sort of venues were you playing then? I mean, I know you guys now are kind of a lot of stuff in around Newtown and places like that. So, what about back then?
It'd be anywhere between there, but suburban pubs and all sorts of strange places.
Yeah.
We did one gig at the Corso on Manly there when the cops came in, sort of, just to do a bit of a check on people once. So, it's a joke. I yelled out Jim Morrison. I did the whole, "You want to see it?"
Oh, yeah.
With a bit of a laugh.
yeah. It's always good when the cops come to a gig. That always adds a little
Yeah,
bit
I
of
mean, they
spice.
didn't do much, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we move on from there. What are we going to play? What are we up to now? What are we going to play next?
How about you guys pick a track that you like?
Cool. Can we skip forward to... we don't have to go in chronological order, do we, Curly?
No, we never do.
Okay.
Because you like
bounce around
Lady
like
from
a time
Shanghai.
machine.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
cool.
no. I do love that song, but I was going to play it to Catch a Thief because I want to ask some questions about that.
Okay.
And
All right,
this would be
so
good to hear early on and now hear the sound now. And obviously the quality of the recordings and stuff is going to be interesting too. So let's do
Drastically different.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
The fable of the stolen train to the back of a road glow. In search of gold, the honest flock, the trails all gone cold. Jewels and weapons and masterpieces in the mountain of the hour. The loot forever hides its face like a man in a back car. Laughing jokers, murdering jokers, and the police. How far will you go to catch a thief? The heresy concealed. 70 winners, a long, long path. Now to the reveal. Laughing jokers, murdering jokers, and the police. How far will you go to catch a thief?
That is such a vast difference, isn't it?
That's a James Bond theme, man.
It is.
Oh, no.
And it's like night and day. It just brings you back down. It calms you, and then it just hits you again. So, I really like that song.
Okay, so
Movie
guys,
soundtrack in one song.
So, I'm guessing it's not about the Hitchcock film of the same name, which starred Cary Grant, I think. Is it about Nazi gold?
Yeah, there was a rumor that they shoved all stolen gold onto a train somewhere and buried it in a mountain. And about 3 or 4 years ago, when the rumor got out, every man and their dog flocked to this area to try and find this train that was buried in a mountain. It got to the point where I think the local authorities got so sick of them they told them all to bugger off. But it was just seemed like a funny thing to write about, and I guess everyone likes the aura of something awful like that. But in an odd sense, the amount of money that it'd be worth if something like that actually existed would just be off the chart.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So how something that horrific and it actually is worth so much money. It's almost a bit of a comedic laugh at the absurdity of that.
Yeah, there is still huge amounts of. I'm into the art sort of world, so there is huge amounts of art that has gone missing from that time in World War II, and it's still not been found yet. So
No,
I mean,
yeah.
whether it's in a
Lots
freaking
of
train
loot.
in a fucking mountain, I don't know. But so Stewie, what attracts you to those things? It's kind of the same as the Lee Harvey Oswald thing. It's a real, it's like the
I
Titanic.
suppose,
like
yeah,
all
that
those
is the
things,
constant.
People are attracted to
the music's
it.
changed, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to. Some people might have written things like that. There's a few Metallica songs that deal with odd things in history. I don't know. I mean, we've started to recently write a lot more personal things, but
Yeah. It's
for
good.
me,
It's
that's
interesting,
always
though.
just interested me. Bob
I mean-
Dylan's lyrics are very historical in some of his songs. I don't know. I guess he's probably been my main influence as far as writing lyrics is concerned. Yeah.
Yeah, because you've got the Hurricane and a few other things like that. And I mean, I know as far as literature goes, I love historical fiction. So
Yeah.
why not do it in music form? Yeah.
I mean, there's a few Zeppelin songs that had Lord of the Rings things in them, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
So you just pull from anything that makes the song sound interesting, and
Yeah, and people can interpret what they think of it.
yeah. My favourite shows on telly are always things that deal with that. But we try
I
to
do
put
love
a bit
good
of a
doco
comedic
that
spin to it.
It delves
Yeah.
into the history of something that's a little bit weird. Okay, Curly, what do you think?
I just love the tune, mate. And Braggy and I were talking before we went on air that I love the way he can dive into a lyric almost as he's listening to a song, whereas I'm sort of going along with the flow of the music, and that's what gets me into the song, and then it takes me, quite often, and quite a long time for me to actually understand the lyrics that are involved. So, but yeah, that song, it brings you down, it punches you in the face, it keeps you going, and that's probably what I went through today. That's probably my favourite song from you guys. So well done.
And Stewie, do you write all the songs?
Most of them, yeah. The other guys have started writing some great stuff as well now. So it's raising the bar for all of us, which is good.
Yeah. And how does your writing process go? So do you, like for instance, will you tell the bass player this is how I think the bass line should go, or do you just give it to him and let him figure that out? I'm just interested.
Initially, I did write. Yeah, I'd probably write a good chunk of the bass lines, but now I've sort of backed off because he's actually started to come up with very good stuff. He's an amazing player. So I've actually stopped doing that now, and I've just, whenever I've sent demos out, I've pulled off
no bass.
Sort of anything. But if I know something's going to work, I will put it in there and go, here's one thing that needs to be in here, but you can expand on the rest of it.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
Because it's hard if you're writing, especially if you play guitar, you obviously play bass as well. It's hard because I find if I write a song, I hear it as a whole with the bass line as well, because I was a bass player. But yeah, it's tricky to hold off like that. And do you, when you write it, have you got you using Logic or GarageBand, so you'll bring up a drum beat as well for Mr. Kickfoot over there?
I've tended to put things to click, and then if I've got some ideas, I've got an electric kit here that I'll blast away on, and then I'll send it to Mark, and we go from there.
Okay.
The other thing that's really noticeable about what you do on Spotify is your imagery on your songs.
The artworks, yes.
Yeah. So where does that come from, and who's been the driver there? Because they're all uniquely different, but they're similar in being uniquely different, if that makes any sense. So.
Okay. Yeah. It's usually might have a very... it'll go off the title of the song or something, but then Rowan, our guitar player, usually puts these things out to tender with artists around the town, and they'll come back with several drafts of what we want, and then that's where he's mainly started to really take off, Rowan, with the art side of things. He's really good at in getting the artists to do great stuff of theirs, but keep it on the vision of what the song supposed to look like, and how it comes up and looks quite nice when it's on those social media and Spotify things. Like when you guys just put the tracks up, then all those nice artworks came across, and it's like, oh yeah, that looks really thought out.
Yeah, even your band photos seem like they're pretty well thought out. Like even if it's just a picture of the five of you, I can see it's, you know, there's he's very much on the money with how things look. He'll usually send the guy back 3 or 4 times before he gets it before they get it right. Well, that's
which
handy though to have
good,
someone
really.
like that in the band that can do that. Sort of stuff.
I mean, he works as a lawyer at Fox Sports, so he sees a lot of the way those things are presented, like ads and all sorts of things. So he has a good media brain.
And this latest bunch of songs, I see they're all like, they got 2021 on them. So were they kind of all written in lockdown, or?
No, some of them were even earlier than that.
Okay, they just kind of came out.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, what are we going to play next, boys? Marcus?
Oh, we'll go to Cathedral, I think. Yeah. What do you reckon, Stu?
Yeah.
Cathedral of Pain.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, let's. And why are we playing this, Benny?
I think this would be the earliest song up on the current Spotify. Would we correct in saying that, Stu? In terms of chronological order?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been modernised with our singer's vocal on it, which is sort of fits in with what we do now. So, yeah.
Okay, so
We'll save it for your Cathedral of Pain. You find yourself floating away. It takes you back to another day. What's happened before, what's coming soon? That past and present's catching up to you. Santa Maria, Corpus Christmas Eve. The darkness, the beauty, and all the death duty, yeah. You find yourself standing on the edge, a blinding thought in a biting flare, a simple line, the ball still in play. This was the one that got away, a kissing and a flogging, all the horses rocking, yeah. Quasimodo and Frodo fight for Esmeralda, yeah. I pick up my bags and I'll be on my way. The drama you brought on, it just gives you away. A crack of thorns in throes of decay. We'll save it for your Cathedral of Pain. And after all said and done, the dance of crime where the web was spun, the town beat, he was overjoyed. She swam and sunk in a maiden voyage, bedazzled, enchanted, a fury so flow. Bandito, Mephisto, the Count of Monte Cristo, Lord.
You're listening to Braggy and Curly on the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast.
Can I just say, I think the harmonies and vocals on that is outstanding. And the other thing I want to make a comment, this is 2 songs tonight that I hadn't really listened to, and I feel like a judge on The Voice, you know, when they're all going like, trying to get that... But that's I'm just putting it out there.
Who are you? Which one?
But the vocal arrangement on that, on the harmonies and the way that they all intertwine, that's quite magical, to be honest.
Yeah, he's got a really good voice. Sometimes, what's the singer's name? Sorry,
Jack.
Sometimes he sounds like one of the favourites from my previous show. What's his name? Ian Anders from the Cult. Asprey, yeah. Is he a fan of the Cult?
Yeah, he's probably more a fan of Jim Morrison and the Doors. So
yeah, okay.
And he's a big influence on Ian. So
yeah,
and they're both from Liverpool, so it's odd. Ian grew up near Liverpool as well, so I'm sure there's a thread there.
Yeah, and we got the scarves on the mic stand as well, so you know that's kind of a little bit like Ian Asprey.
Yeah,
as well.
he likes.
I like that.
He likes interior decorating.
Now, Stewie, man, I'm loving these lyrics, man. Quasimodo Frodo and Esmeralda. Is that old video game?
Not quite.
Esmeralda?
Well,
No.
maybe there was. I'm sure you've probably heard of the old story of Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah. I know Quasimodo.
Kind of.
And I know Frodo.
Yeah.
But Esmeralda. Was it Esmeralda?
Well, she was the she's in that story. I mean, the Disney version, she marries the guy, but in the real the old story, she ends up being executed in the town square.
And the other rhyme, but I love that rhyme, Quasimodo and Frodo. And the other one I love is Mephisto and the Count of Monte Cristo. So these are all...
yeah.
Yeah, it's
trying
good.
to get them to sound fun.
Yeah, it's good. So these are all like, they're epics, they're adventures. What are we singing about here, Stewie? What's the
I guess I
Cathedral
was
of Pain?
trying to sort of... The way the lyric started was I kept having that name Esmeralda pop in my head all the time.
Yeah.
And I had no idea where I'd heard it before or why. I thought it was just an ancient Greek name or something. And then I looked it up. And it came up in that story. And then I read all the old fairy tale versions and however many versions of a story end up coming out. And then you get the Disney version. And I thought, it'd be interesting to sort of put yourself in that zone where you're sort of sitting there thinking about it, and then you end up in an imaginary space like those Disney movies where you end up getting transported into the middle of something. I thought, let's try and do that in a song and see if the music can make you think that way.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's cool.
Like, music can take you to another place, I think, when you're sort of just sitting in the car or wherever you're listening to it. So it was kind of an
100%.
attempt at that.
Yeah, well, that is the whole idea of music, isn't it? To take you to another, to get you out of reality, same as a movie. Esmeralda is also, Curly, you remember this, you remember the TV show Bewitched?
Yes.
Esmeralda was the mum, I think.
What was that reaction for, Stuart?
I think it was.
I thought I'd heard it somewhere before I'd actually...
I think that's Esmeralda.
Endora was the mother's name.
Oh,
But I'm sure there was an Esmeralda on that show somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were the best, those shows. They're really well done.
Alrighty.
Oh, you're a student of
So-
pop culture, Stewie.
You are.
I think so, yeah.
deep thinker, a deep reader, a deep believer in history.
Maybe I should have studied finance instead.
What?
I'm starting to.
Well, I've learned so much. You've got a lawyer that does your graphics, which, and then, it's just, it's quite a unique style of band that you've put together. So let's play "Lady from Shanghai" because I know this is the one that. Did you want to make a comment first, Braggy, before we move?
Well,
into
I
it?
just think this. I mean, this seems to be just a normal song about a girl that you think is really exotic, kind of in the same. It reminds me of Deep Purple's "My Woman from Tokyo," or I don't know, even David Bowie's "Little China Girl." Maybe, I don't know. I like the song. I just like the imagery of this too.
Yeah, no worries. Let's put it on.
She's your lady from Shanghai. 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 Out on the prowl, you fantasize. You don't really get any bites. Now at the corner of your eye, her lever's so damn tight, and she's got you in her sight. Well, where do I start? Oh, let's talk about art. It's already done to say quoi. Well, this music's like glass, and it's all made for the cat. What time is this place really shut? Give me the sucker punch, yeah. She's your lady from Shanghai. 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 She sits right down and draws you in with her eyes. Her voice makes you weak at the knee. Oh no, it's not just not. It's just she's so damn hot. Every cliche, she can't be with me. Yeah, you're too damn cool and she played you for a fool. You've just been rinsed completely dry. Yeah, you better roll the night and now she's taking flight. She's gone home with the other guy. That's right, Sheila. She's your lady from Shanghai. 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 It's all jealous and yeah. And she's your femme fatale. Yeah, to me loose. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah.
So once again, I'm going to just make a really quick comment there about the vocals because
I love
you've
these,
got the
George.
main vocals and then you've got all this other little stuff that's happening behind it, and once again, the vocal arrangement I think is just awesome. So.
Yeah, it's the most poppiest of the songs so far. Or, I mean, you know, that we're going to probably play tonight. And I'm a sucker for a pop song, so probably that's why I like it. Yeah.
So where'd that one come from, Stu?
It's a true story, actually. What happened in the song actually happened. I was out with a friend and he met this girl that looked like Uma Thurman, but she was done right up. He ended up taking her around pretty much all over Sydney, and he bought her drinks the whole night, and then she disappeared with another guy at the end of the night. And then he went home and destroyed his apartment that he was living in, out of anger. But,
Wow. There you go.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a funny thing to write about. Just
Yeah, it's cool.
yeah, he kind of got taken for a ride, and then the title. I suppose there's another bigger thematic thing about femme fatales that have always interested me. I mean, the film itself, The Lady from Shanghai, one of Orson Welles' first movies, where some girl ends up doing him in. I suppose Temptation's the main theme about all of it, and there's a lot of songs like that. Musically, I suppose I was trying to mix AC/DC with ELO. Like, what would that sound like with a string section behind Angus and the guys?
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, that would sound like the Grand Union. That's what that would sound like.
Yeah.
That is so
Saturday Night Fever with heavy guitars.
Yeah, that's it.
Sure, that's so interesting because when I was listening to your stuff today, I'd listened to Lady from Shanghai and then To Catch a Thief and then A Session Day. And
Ascension Day, yeah.
And as I said to Marcus prior to coming on, I said, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but it to me, I felt like Electric Light Orchestra when I was listening to that song, especially in comparison with the other two. So,
okay.
And then all of a sudden you're talking about ELO there. So anyway.
Do you get the strings live? Can you get the is someone playing the keys live, or you
I've got a pedal that trails it. Yeah, it's a Mellotron pedal.
Oh yeah.
So it doesn't sound as artificial as some of the other computerized ones, but
yeah,
you know that Mellotron keyboard which actually had tape samples in it.
Yep. It's like that, is it?
Sounds
pedal.
Yeah, it makes it sound kind of organic when you're playing it with a guitar as opposed to that. But one day, man, when we can afford it, I'll get the Sydney Philharmonic down and we'll play it.
Do the opera house. Actually, that's a good little segue. Good little segue to what I want to ask before we finish up is because you guys have been playing around Sydney for so long. I want to know how the live thing is kind of what changes it's gone through. Obviously, lockdown was a big change, but you must have seen a fair few changes. Different venues open and shut, and
everything in between. Yeah,
everything in between. Do you think it's come back a bit better, or you think it's still a bit dodge? I know in Adelaide here, some people are saying, I feel like it's going to come back stronger. But what do you think?
Venues
it's starting to.
I think anyway. Like judging from Saturday, like we were playing at the Duke, and then a bit further down the road they had the Hideout. The Whitlams were playing at the Enmore Theatre, and the place was bustling. So there is live music out there. I don't know. I guess a lot of Stu, you might have a different perspective, being in Canberra and been living there for a while now.
It's definitely picking back up. Definitely. Even here, I mean, we've got the basement and that. But, as you're saying, Enmore Road, there was 4 or 5 gigs on. You've got the Vanguard up the other end, and then you've got Mosh Pit and the old, I can't remember, Botany View. That's got bands on. And there's definitely people walking around. I think that everyone's not as scared and not to catch something now. So
a lot of the pubs up this way are actually putting money back into their live performance space. So I think that there was potentially that sense of what people missed during COVID and what people truly valued. And we're seeing a lot of pubs here now putting money back in to build up their live music space. So let's hope it continues, because I think that's got to be a positive that's come from it.
Yeah.
And so are you guys just going to release singles on Spotify? Are you going to do? Is it going to be?
I think the next one's Morning Star, is it, Stu? Or will be? That'll be one we've kind of debuted.
I think Control's coming out. Yeah, Control will probably be the next one, and then Jack is wanting to put a full record out of it. but we're having the existential argument about whether people will listen to a large bunch of songs anymore, or whether it's, you know, just putting them out one at a time.
Yeah.
We've got so many, but yeah.
Now, I was watching
until they've got enough out there and then call it an album. So,
which is kind of what they used to do anyway back in the late 50s. You'd see an awful lot of compilations of singles, and the album market wasn't that big.
I bought a couple of show and tells, early influence.
yeah.
I think you sent me this one, Tay.
Yeah, for sure. I've got that.
UK pressings, 70.
yeah.
Man, that's one of the best live records ever, I reckon. Yeah, I've got that one as well. Now, I remember. Is that the original of your dad's?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember when
You
that
can
came
tell.
into the. I remember when that came into the house.
That's a
It's our
well-worn.
house at home.
That's a
amazing.
well-worn album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was glued
Alrighty.
to
So,
the
what's the
couch.
future hold for you boys, Marcus? What do you see? What's the future? What's the vision? I'll start with you and then move to Stewie.
More gigs, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
The live music.
You guys
is
like
really
playing
where-
live, don't you?
Well, I get the most enjoyment out of playing live, and also, I guess, creating the songs in their early format. So just jamming on whatever ideas are coming out. That's how I guess Morningstar came together. Stu, it was like just the three of us in a room, the Paul, the bass player, you and I, and Stu came in. I got this thing, it goes a bit like this, and then 5-10 minutes later we had a song. So
That's cool.
yeah, I think just playing together and playing live.
Excellent. And
Wherever
Stu,
you'll have us.
what's the vision for the Grand Union? Apart from world domination, of course.
There's a song.
It's connecting and building an audience of people that would really like something better than the average bear, I guess. We're trying to sort of trying to make sort of good guitar-driven rock music come back to the... It's a lofty thing to say, but try and push it back to the front line of mainstream music. It's not there anymore, really, if you think about it.
No way.
You get a lot of the heritage artists all saying that they're the last rock band that can sell out a certain size venue. You get that argument that, you know, people's tastes have changed and all sorts. But I think if people sort of start getting back to the essence of a decent song that they can remember when they leave a venue, that's kind of where we're going. Build an audience of people that want to hear something new, but they want to recognise a tune in something. So we're hoping to build an audience. Like, we're not sort of going out there to try and, well, for me anyway, we're not going out there to try and play for, you know, all these other rock bands. I'm trying to aim these songs at the average listener of someone who's sitting there in a pub that you don't know. And if you get 3 or 4 people come up at the end of a gig saying that's good, then you know you're really doing something rather than whatever marketing or whatever anybody else says. If you've really touched them in some way.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing in 2022 because all that stuff from back even to the 80s, it's all aimed at young people because it was young people that listened to that stuff. But now those young people are all my age, all, you know, nearly 60. And so it's just a much wider, whereas you would never be playing to 60-year-olds in the 80s, you know.
No.
Or the 70s.
Or you'd never have 60-year-olds up on the stage in the 80s.
Well, that's true. That's the thing. It's a whole.
Yeah.
It's an unknown. It's unknown territory. But yeah, it's not going to go away. It's like
I think
metal.
that's a great.
I can't believe metal just keeps going and going and going. There's always a big crowd at the metal venue in the city. It's always just keeps going.
I think that's a great vision anyway, to bring good old Aussie rock back to the mainstream, I think, without having to go back to the 80s and the 90s to listen to it on radio, I think. So anything that we can do to help that will be a positive. Hey, Stu and Marcus, it's been absolute awesome having you guys tonight. It's been a great little journey getting to know the Grand Union. I've got to keep reminding myself, the Grand Union. Braggy, thanks again as always as my co-host. This will be out on the 17th of October, I believe.
Are you back by
the day I land back from the UK? So.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll be having the Grand Union. So, guys, I wish you every success. It's you've got some really good stuff there. It's quite a unique sound. It's quite a unique feel for the band as well, Stuart. So I think congratulations for both of you on what you've put together there. There's a different style. There's a different personality. And I like what you were saying if you just get a couple of people at every gig, you listen to the lady from Shanghai, and I reckon there'd be punters in the audience saying, I know this song. It's just got that familiar sort of familiarity to it. So in some respects, you go in and play that song, and they're probably saying, this is a great covers band, because there's just that familiarity. And I'm not saying that to insult anyone. It's just that there's that rolling with the music in that. So I think that's fantastic. So thanks so much for
thanks for making the effort, guys. I know you guys work late, and thanks for rushing home and
thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So how can people follow Grand Union? Give me some of your socials. And
Instagram would be the main one that drives it. It's the Grand Union, but there's underscores between each word. The underscore grand underscore
So Instagram
we'll
is
put
the
it
best
up
way.
on this anyway.
Yeah, we'll make sure that link and the link
Facebook
to your Spotify channel.
Yeah. Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and the YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
There's a link tree actually that we have that has all of this on here.
Which is probably the simplest way. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Link
so
tree,
definitely a band to follow for everyone that's listening. The Grand Union. And if you liked this episode, please share it with anyone that you think will love some of that music. Absolutely. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Where else are we, Braggy?
I don't know, but I want to just say, just don't follow us like that. Just go out on the weekend and see the band live somewhere.
Absolutely. And on Spotify, we've got the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. We'll be adding some of the Grand Union songs to that playlist. So please don't just follow and like the playlist. Go and follow each of those bands that are on that particular playlist. Braggy, it's been a whirlwind couple of days putting together some episodes to cover while I'm away. Thanks again to the boys from Grand Union. It's been a real pleasure, and I wish you every success. Until next week, when hopefully I'll be back in Australia, and we'll be doing, I don't know what we'll be doing when we get back, Braggy. Who knows? We'll make something up. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you all next week.
Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music, and you're listening to our friends Braggy and Curly.
My favorite fans from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly
On the
Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast.